we're investigating a bit of a modern mystery today, one that literally affects every single one of us. Because honestly, how in the world did we manage to take a basic, completely natural human function and turn it into this highly optimized, totally anxiety-inducing morning routine?
Well, sleep optimization has ballooned into a staggering $30 billion industry in the US alone. I mean, just take a look at your nightstand tonight. It might honestly look a bit like a Best Buy in there. The market is absolutely flooded with smart rings, high-tech mattresses, and endless digital apps that all promise to, fix us. But it really begs the question, why do we suddenly need fixing?
Think about your own mornings for a second. We're all waking up and immediately checking our smartphone dashboards and sleep scores, effectively wondering if we somehow failed at a task that we were completely unconscious for. It's wild, right? It's this bizarre psychological shift where we now need an external device to validate how we actually feel the moment we open our eyes.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at how sleep became a sellable metric in the first place. Because for the vast majority of human history, sleep was just a subjective feeling. You woke up, you felt rested, or maybe you didn't. There was zero number attached to it. But modern wearables came along and turned that invisible internal experience into a trackable, highly marketable score. And you know how it goes. Once something becomes a score, a massive industry naturally springs up to help you beat it.
Let's look a bit closer at what these everywhere, often incredibly expensive wearables actually get right, and, well, what they get wrong. To be perfectly fair here, trackers are genuinely great for measuring total sleep time and your basic movement. But where they get really shaky is tracking specific sleep stages. Independent studies have shown some pretty meaningful gaps when consumer devices try to detect things like your REM cycle, especially when you compare them to clinical lab-grade monitors.
And the issue really compounds when you start looking at those composite readiness or recovery scores that so many of us obsess over every morning. The thing is, these rely entirely on proprietary algorithms cooked up by tech companies. They just aren't validated with the same rigorous standards as clinical polysomnography, the gold standard they use in actual sleep labs. So what this means is we're often stressing out over completely unverified data.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that we might be completely ruining our morning, stressing over a bad night's sleep, when in reality it was just a technical glitch or a measurement error in our fancy smart ring. It's like the device invents the flaw and then the broader industry conveniently steps in to sell you the solution. Now, when we wander over to the pharmacy aisle, the evidence varies enormously. Take melatonin, for instance. It definitely has real clinical evidence behind it, but primarily for shifting your schedule, like beating jet lag. It's not really meant to be a general nightly sleep booster. Then there's magnesium, which has reasonable evidence, but mainly if you actually have a clinical deficiency. And honestly, most people eating a normal diet just don't have that.
But the absolute weakest evidence in that entire aisle, that almost always points to those highly marketed, super expensive proprietary sleep stacks. These products will literally jam a dozen different ingredients into a single capsule. And because there are so many, they're almost always dosed way, way below the levels actually used in the clinical studies they like to cite. It makes it totally impossible to know if any single ingredient is actually doing anything for you. It's a real questionable drain on both your wallet and your peace of mind. All right, now we get to the absolute most important part of this, focusing on the best ways to actually get some sleep. And frankly, this should genuinely bother that entire $30 billion industry. Because the incredible truth of sleep optimization is that the interventions with the absolute strongest, most consistent evidence base, they are almost entirely free. You literally don't need a monthly app subscription or a trendy supplement stack or some blinking wearable gadget.
Instead, it really just comes down to 3 fundamental habits. And these 3 completely free steps have far, far more robust clinical research backing them up than almost any commercial product sitting on a pharmacy shelf or heavily advertised to you on your social media feed right now.
Step 1 is morning sunlight exposure. Just getting natural sunlight piercing through your window or maybe drinking your coffee outside briefly in the morning, that actually anchors your body's internal clock. It regulates your circadian rhythm early in the day, and it does it far more reliably than any complicated, expensive evening wind-down routine ever could. Step 2 is consistency. And I'm telling you, the research here is massive. Maintaining a consistent sleep and wake schedule. And yes, I know this one hurts, but that means doing it even on Saturdays and Sundays is consistently linked to higher overall sleep quality across the board. It essentially biologically trains your body to know exactly when it is time to shut down. Step 3 is incredibly straightforward. Just sleep in a cool, dark room. Your body naturally requires a core temperature drop to fall into and stay in deep rest. And this genuinely useful environment, it's completely achievable with a basic thermostat and some cheap blackout curtains. You absolutely do not need to buy a $500 high-tech cooling mattress system to achieve a basic biological necessity. So, to wrap all of this up, it's vital to note that clinical sleep medicine is a very real, very important field. For actual diagnosed disorders, things like sleep apnea, chronic insomnia, or shift work disorder, legitimate medical treatments and devices are absolutely crucial. But the consumer wellness layer, it operates totally differently. It basically borrows the language and the aesthetics of medical precision, just to sell expensive optimization directly to people whose sleep is, fundamentally, completely normal.
Ultimately, the most powerful takeaway here is simply this. You really don't need a score to know if you slept well. The truth is, you mostly already knew exactly how you slept the very second you woke up and stretched. This industry simply figured out how to use flashy technology to make you doubt your own body's signals, pretty much just so you check their app anyway.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Has a sleep tracker ever made you feel genuinely worse about a night of sleep that actually felt perfectly fine when you first woke up? I invite you to really reflect on your own experiences with this $30 billion sleep optimization machine. And hey, maybe tomorrow morning, just trusting how you actually feel